Hey guys, welcome back to Red Devil TV. Man United versus Aston Villa preview for Saturday. Guys, Ronaldo interview is the first thing we're going to get into before the preview. Let's talk about some of the things that stood out. Mentality of the players, how we shouldn't be finishing below third, and trophies. Look, it's quite clear that Ronaldo is not the problem at this club, and I know people are going to have this debate whether Ronaldo is the issue and all of this nonsense, but I'm going to be straight up. Look, it shows his mentality in this interview, and of course, before any player goes into these type of interviews with Sky Sports or whoever it is, especially with the stature of Ronaldo, they're going to be told to not say certain things. They're going to have some advice before the interview so they don't say anything that's going to be, mixed up in the press, and you know how it goes. So look, in terms of what you mentioned, look, the mentality thing about, he almost referenced it to his own kids, how when he gives them advice, they almost seem to not listen in a way. And he says how the new generation is different to when he was back at Man United back in 2007, but he came in 2003, wasn't it? So when he first came, of course, he was young and he knew he needed to listen to these bigger players who are more experienced, who are older than him. And he basically said, look, nowadays, it's not like that. It seems like the younger players, the younger generation, don't listen and they don't want to take advice. And look, he didn't really, of course, he's not going to reference it to any of the Man United players like a Greenwood or a Rashford or McTominay or whatever. But look, that clearly means that there's a problem there. And we've been saying that the last few weeks, I've seen fan channels and fans on TikTok, on Instagram saying that there's a problem with the mentality of these players, and you can see their body language on the pitch from Rashford and sometimes from Greenwood and even Bruno, and look, forget Ronaldo's not the problem here. We saw the game against Villa on Monday in the FA Cup, and everyone can talk about, look, Ronaldo doesn't press, and it's actually been annoying me that we're still at this point where people are still saying he doesn't press and he doesn't track back. I've been seeing a lot of things on Twitter recently and Instagram. And honestly, when he first came, I thought, okay, I feel like there is going to be a bit of a problem here in terms of the press, in terms of the tracking back. And look, it's not like we tracked back. Sorry, it's not like Cavani Cavani, of course, presses and he does track back. But it's not like last season when Martial was up front, or if Rashford was up front, or Greenwood was up front. It's not like we pressed amazingly. It's not that we were a team who would press and put that type of counter press on a team to then get the ball up the pitch and score. We weren't that type of team last season. We were counter attacking and look, at the end of the day, it is relevant because Ronaldo is one of the best players in the world, and everyone can say whether he's had a bad effect or a negative or a positive impact on Manchester United since he came in August. But the thing is, look, I'm going to be honest, ever since he started, he's definitely pressed more than I thought, and he's tracked back more than I thought, and even more so with Rangnick in the position that he's in. I think ever since Rangnick's come in, he's shown even more of that high energetic, high press, tracking back style that needs to be implemented into a striker anyway. We can talk about the likes of Messi and Mbappe, how they don't necessarily press as much as they should do. We've seen that at PSG. But it's ridiculous how people just tend to exaggerate that, because of course Ronaldo's not going to press as much as other players. He's 36, he's going to turn 37 in a month, and it's normal, what I mean? But look, if we're looking at the interview, he mentioned that thing about that point about we shouldn't be finishing below third and how Man United shouldn't be fighting for fifth or sixth, and it was very interesting. And look, it's true, we know this, and it was just nice to hear it from someone who deserves to be captain, in my opinion, and who's one of the best footballers in the world. And especially when you talk about trophies, and even when he talked about third, I'm going to be honest, I don't think we're going to finish top four this season. I think we're going to be fighting for fourth, and if we do finish third, it's going to be crazy, in my opinion. So in terms of an FA Cup, in terms of the Champions League, of course, these are things that we are still in. We're still in these competitions in the FA Cup and the Champions League. We got kicked out of the Carabao Cup, of course, but these are, in my opinion, trophies we should be fighting for anyway. I think we should fight in the league, we should fight in the FA Cup, and we should fight in the Champions League. We have enough players in the squad to be rotated and to be played. So we need to see what happens there. But look, I'm not going to go too much into what he said. He kind of repeated a lot of things that we kind of already knew. The mentality of the players, finishing third. We shouldn't be finishing anything below third, like he mentioned. Of course, we all have our opinion on what's going to happen at the end of the season. I personally think we're not going to finish top four, but let's see what happens there. Champions League, there's still a chance there. FA Cup, still a chance there as well. So there's still progress here to be made. Of course, he mentioned Rangnick just came. There's going to be time to implement his ideas, and every player is going to be used to it and find the best team at the moment. And of course, we need a midfielder. And going on to that topic of a midfielder, Zakaria has been mentioned a lot in the last few days. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't know about Zakaria, but I didn't know too much about his game in the midfield. Of course, I knew he could play centre defensive midfielder because he is a CDM. Didn't know he could play centre back, which is a great thing. However, if he's coming into Man United to play centre back, it's a bit of a worry. But of course, he's not. We need a CDM. It's quite clear. And I think he's definitely a player who's going to have a great impact in our squad. I think, look at his height. He's a big guy. He's physical, very quick for his height as well. He's quite a big guy. I think he's 6'2", 6'3". He's going to have that presence in midfield. He's not going to get bodied like sometimes Fred does. A lot of control on the ball. He's always got that mentality to go forward, and that's what we need in our midfield. You know, of course, he's still young. He's going to be one of the players who is going to grow, but that is someone we need in our midfield. We need someone who's a young Matic, and I think he kind of reminds me of a young Matic, but someone who's quicker, who's slightly even better offensively in terms of getting the ball forward and putting it onto and giving it to our attackers and you know, creating that magic in the midfield. And you can see it, even him as a centre defensive midfielder has got that presence in the midfield to go forward and even, you know, create himself. And I think that's what we've been lacking in the midfield a lot. So I'm really excited for Zakaria. We'll have to see what happens there. Of course, there's been talks of Jesse Lingard to Tottenham. I don't think that's going to happen. Talks of Bailly going to AC Milan. I think that's a big mistake if we let him go. I think Bailly, everyone's going to have our opinion about our centre-back partnerships. I think personally Bailly is one of our better centre-backs. I think he's someone who should be in a Rangnick system, in a 4-2-2, someone who is going to be playing a high line with Varane. I think someone like Maguire and Lindelof, who we know are not quick players, they can be suspect on the ball. Look, Bailly sometimes can be suspect positionally. We know this. He can be reckless. I think he's our second best left back. Of course, he's injury prone. We know about his reckless nature on the pitch, but I think he's someone who should be playing with Varane. And look, let's get straight into the lineup with Villa. I think, you know, with Rangnick implementing this 4-2-3-1, it kind of gave the players more of that freedom to play how they want to play. And we didn't really see that. We saw that a bit in the first 15 minutes of the first half. I think the second half, we didn't see any of it. We got dominated in the second half. You saw Watkins and McGinn and Buendia just run past our midfield, and our defence looked a bit of a shambles sometimes as well in that game. And if I'm going to be completely honest, we know Shaw is out. We know McTominay is also out in this game. So what's going to happen? Telles is going to come in. I think if Maguire's fit will come in, but I'm going to probably stick to Varane and Lindelof. And I think Dalot's going to keep his place. I think Dalot has a way better chance of getting into the squad than Wan-Bissaka at this point. I know Wan-Bissaka is fantastic defensively. We've talked about this, repeating ourselves. But Dalot is going to suit the system a lot more. And if Rangnick, we already talked about this, if Rangnick gets a good place in the league this season and he wins a trophy, he's going to keep the job. And if we're going to have a manager who's going to be long term in Rangnick, we need to use players who are going to suit his system. Counter pressing, high line, Dalot is that player in my opinion. Not that Wan-Bissaka can't develop that, but I think Dalot is already in that stage where he's already a better attacking fullback than Wan-Bissaka, and he can develop that defensive weakness that he has in his defensive game. So we need to see what happens there, but definitely that back four. In terms, I think he's definitely going to stick to a 4-2-2. I think the 4-2-3-1 is not going to he's not going to come back unless we go back to the FA Cup and you know, he implements that. But I think we're going to stick to a 4-2-2. Rangnick shouldn't be changing his system too much. I don't want to see him go to a 4-2-2 to then switch to a 4-2-3-1. I think these players need to stick to a system. And look, the fact that McTominay is out, I think he's going to go with Matic and Van der Beek. And he said in the Villa game, as soon as Van der Beek came on, there was control in the midfield. So you say that, so you better play him. You know what I mean? So there's been questions about whether Van der Beek is a number 10 at Manchester United, whether he's been seen as more of a defensive player. And look, for me, he's seen more as a number 8. And I know a lot of the time numbers can be outdated in nowadays football. You know, you've got players who are playing on the wing who are not just creative, but they can score goals. Someone like a Greenwood, someone like a Rashford. But I think in our team what's been lacking is that creative winger. And you know, I'll get straight into that after. But I think in the midfield, when we're talking about the pivots, I think it's going to be Van der Beek and Matic, which I think is a fantastic partnership. I think Matic definitely has those flaws when it comes to the pace, and you know, it's going to be a worry there, but I think, you know, he's had a week off. I think he'll come back in with Van der Beek. Presence in the midfield, Van der Beek is going to look to get that ball forward, which is what we need. Good on the ball. And two in front will be Sancho and Bruno Fernandes. I think that's our best two behind our strikers, in my opinion. And up front, I think it's going to be Cavani and Ronaldo. So guys, let me know what you think about that lineup. I think we need those players to play. I think that's possibly our best lineup. And I know I've said before how our midfield two, in terms of the DM positions, is probably McFred, because they basically they do the same job. Of course, one of them is also is obviously they're going to switch, and one of them's going to look to go forward, one's going to look to stay back. But both of them got defensive weaknesses in their game, and Matic has that control in the midfield that no other player in our club in that position has, in my opinion. I know he's old, but that's the player we have at the moment, and that's why we need Zakaria, in my opinion. Look, in terms of the wingers, if we go to a 4-2-3-1, even if they play in the 10 position, you see, a 10 position in a 4-2-2 is not central. It's not that the players are very central in that. They're slightly, they go wide. You see a lot of the time we almost go to a 4-2-4, sometimes a 4-2-3-1, even if we start off with a 4-2-2 formation. And that's why you need someone, a Sancho, in the number 10 role. And even though Greenwood plays as a winger in a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1, he's a player who's not going to work in that because, as we saw against Villa in the FA Cup, he's too greedy. I know he's young, but even someone like Rashford in the midfield, I don't want to see Rangnick do that. Play Bruno and Sancho in the midfield. Creative, they can go wide, they can put great crosses in, and I want to see that. Put Sancho on the right, and if he does put a Greenwood in midfield or a Rashford, play Sancho on the right of the two in the midfield. Whether you switch to a 4-2-4, play him on the right. I don't want to see them constantly switching too much because Sancho needs to put them crosses in. That's why I also want to see the low overlap and put those crosses in the right back position. So guys, let me know what you think. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.